If Russia is the state-controlled giant of global resources, the United States is the ultimate capitalist powerhouse. Sitting on a geological goldmine estimated at a staggering $45 trillion, the US has built an empire differently than any other nation, spanning across a massive continent and extending deep into the surrounding oceans. This immense wealth is not just locked in traditional mines, it is actively engineered. The United States has aggressively weaponized cutting-edge technology to unlock reserves that were once thought impossible to reach. From the sprawling sun-baked deserts of the Southwest to the treacherous storm-heavy waters of the Gulf of Mexico, the American resource machine operates 24/7, driving the largest economy in human history. To understand American dominance, you must understand the Shale Revolution. Through the aggressive use of hydraulic fracturing, or fracking combined with horizontal drilling, the US completely rewrote the global energy map over the last 15 years. Today, the United States is the undisputed #1 producer of crude oil on the planet, pumping out an unbelievable 13.3 million barrels every single day. This completely eclipses both Saudi Arabia and Russia. The epicenter of this boom is the Permian Basin in Texas and New Mexico, a desolate landscape that alone produces more oil than most entire countries. Every single day, highly mechanized crews shatter the bedrock deep underground, releasing a relentless tidal wave of light, sweet crude that fuels the domestic market and global trade. Simultaneously, this same fracking technology has turned the United States into an absolute juggernaut of natural gas. Producing over 1 trillion cubic meters of gas annually, the US leads the world by a massive margin. Massive subterranean formations, like the Marcellus Shale in Appalachia, provide a seemingly endless supply. But the true game changer is how this gas is moved. Billions of dollars have been poured into coastal mega facilities that supercool the gas to minus 162 degrees Celsius, turning it into liquid, LNG. This allows the US to pack massive amounts of energy onto specialized ships, transforming a domestic resource into a highly mobile, incredibly lucrative global commodity. But the American bedrock is only half the story. The United States extracts staggering amounts of wealth from beneath the sea, primarily in the Gulf of Mexico. This offshore empire contributes roughly 1.8 million barrels of oil per day, about 15% of total US production. These are not simple coastal operations. They are absolute marvels of extreme engineering. Colossal floating platforms like the Thunder Horse rig drill into the seabed at depths exceeding 6,000 feet, tapping into massive pressurized reservoirs hidden beneath miles of solid rock and salt. It is an incredibly high-stakes, high-cost environment where a single well can cost hundreds of millions of dollars to complete, navigating hurricane seasons and extreme ocean pressures to pull wealth from the abyss. Beyond the liquid wealth, the $45 trillion valuation is heavily supported by an incredibly diverse, solid portfolio. The US holds the largest recoverable coal reserves in the world, with over 250 billion tons, heavily concentrated in Wyoming's Powder River Basin. Though domestic use is dropping, it remains a massive export. Additionally, the US is a top 5 global producer of gold, pulling massive wealth from the open-pit mines of Nevada. Add to this massive reserves of copper in Arizona, zinc in Alaska, and an absolute empire of timber across the Pacific Northwest. The American landmass is a highly diversified vault of raw materials, ensuring that multiple massive industries operate at peak capacity simultaneously. So where does this unprecedented volume of resources go? The United States plays a dual game, feeding the world's most energy-hungry domestic economy while rapidly expanding its global export dominance. The LNG sector has seen explosive growth. Following the sudden shift in European energy security, American LNG ships became the primary lifeline for the European continent, replacing Eastern supplies. Simultaneously, millions of barrels of crude and massive shipments of refined petroleum products are exported daily to massive industrial hubs in Asia, including Japan, South Korea, and China. The American resource machine does not just participate in global trade. It actively stabilizes and dictates the flow of the international market. The financial returns of this massive extraction operation are almost impossible to grasp. The energy and mining sectors inject roughly $1.5 trillion into the US economy annually. In recent peak years, US petroleum and natural gas exports alone generated over $300 billion in revenue. However, unlike state-owned monopolies in other resource-rich nations, the American model is driven by private mega-corporations. Giants like ExxonMobil and Chevron report annual profits in the tens of billions of dollars. This immense capital flows through Wall Street, driving the stock market, funding vast technological research, and generating massive tax revenues for federal and state governments. It is an unstoppable engine of corporate wealth. How does the average American citizen benefit from this $45 trillion vault? The US has a unique legal system regarding resources, the concept of mineral rights. Unlike almost everywhere else on Earth, private citizens in the US can actually own the resources beneath their land. This has created thousands of unexpected millionaires in places like Texas and North Dakota, as ranchers lease their land to oil companies for massive royalties. Furthermore, the domestic energy boom has kept American gasoline and electricity prices significantly lower than in Europe, indirectly saving citizens money every day. It also creates millions of high-paying jobs in engineering, logistics, and heavy machinery across the country. However, this capitalist model creates intense regional inequality and severe environmental consequences. The extraction industry operates on a boom and bust cycle. Small towns can explode with wealth and jobs overnight, only to become ghost towns when global oil prices drop. Furthermore, the aggressive nature of fracking has raised serious environmental alarms. Communities near major extraction zones frequently report severe groundwater contamination, toxic air pollution from gas flaring, and even a massive spike in man-made earthquakes caused by wastewater injection. The offshore sector carries the permanent scar of the Deepwater Horizon disaster. For many citizens living directly next to these operations, the massive corporate profits come at a direct cost to their health and their environment. The United States represents the most highly optimized, privately driven resource extraction machine in human history. The $45 trillion buried in its soil and sea are not guarded by a state monopoly, but are ruthlessly pursued by the private sector. It has made the nation completely energy independent, forged geopolitical alliances, and created immense corporate wealth. Yet it remains a volatile system, a delicate balance between unprecedented economic dominance and undeniable ecological sacrifice. The US proved that technology could conquer nature, but as we move to the next country on our list, we will see what happens when the desert sand holds the absolute power over the global economy. Welcome to Saudi Arabia. The global race for these staggering trillion-dollar fortunes dictates the fate of nations, the health of our planet, and the daily lives of billions. If you want to continue uncovering the hidden mechanics of world power, the mega projects funded by this extreme wealth, and the geological secrets that shape our reality, you must be part of our community. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Step inside the Anime Atlas Tour channel to explore our massive, growing collection of deep dive documentaries. The journey into the world's most powerful economies has just begun. Stay tuned.